Have you ever just looked at people's behavior and wondered why it's so fucked up? Have you ever looked at your own behavior and just said, what in the fuck is wrong with me? Am I the dumbest person in the world? Why is it that other people do things that are so self-destructive that I can't figure it out? Do you ever look at, and not to be mean, but do you ever look at, say, homeless people and say, why don't they get a job? Have you ever looked at yourself and said, why can't I do the things that I'm supposed to do? Have you ever had thoughts like this? Well, what we're gonna do right now is go into the next video in what we call the What If series. And this is a series that asks you simply, what if some weird idea that you might have heard somewhere could be true? So we had another video come out recently where we ask, what if hell on earth could be real? What if hell could be in existence within life and not an afterlife? In this video, we're gonna ask you, what if karma is real? And maybe you see people that are struggling, or maybe you're struggling, and it's not for the fact that you're lazy or dumb, but it's that you're paying off a karmic debt. And we don't know this for a fact, but we're simply going to explore it. Now, what is the idea of karma? That's the idea that for every good thing that you do, you get rewarded. I think it's like 3 times over or something that they say. And then if you do something bad, there's some percentage that you get punished. And maybe you did something bad in a past life and you're being punished for that. Now, in this video, do I know if that's true or not? I have no idea, but it's fun to just entertain ideas like this. And what we're gonna ask you to entertain is that when you see yourself doing things that are completely stupid or self-harmful, or when you see other people doing things that are dumb or self-harmful, things that are just completely dropping the ball, is it possible that they could be burning off karma and that there is literally nothing that you can do in your control and nothing that they can do in their control to actually change? And I'm gonna say that the reason why I at least entertained this as a thought experiment was because I've seen it to where there's simply people in my life that are so intelligent, so bright, that screw up again and again and again. And there's nothing that I can do to fix it. And they're just simply going down a path. And it's to the point that if I actually, do anything to intervene with that self-inflicted pain, they will, not only will it not work except for temporarily, but then typically they snap back and do things to harm themselves much, much worse after. A very simple example, this is, you'll have a girlfriend, maybe you help her to quit drinking. And after you break up, she will not only go back to drinking, but she'll almost like make up for all the drinks that she missed. And it's like this kind of thing. So this is where I started thinking about this. I've seen this in many other cases. We're gonna tell some stories in this video. And again, the thought experiment, what if karma's real? What would it look like? And what kind of ideas would we conceptualize if we were simply to entertain that idea?
So we were talking about this today at this kombucha place. So we were like, where's like the cool local spot for kombucha here in Seattle? And we went to this place and it was this old man, this lovely old man.
Nice guy.
And, we started talking, and for some reason, you kind of put out the vibe that you were running your own kombucha shop.
Yeah.
And the guy at some point just snaps. He's like, just so you know, you're not going to get my secret recipe. And we're just like, whoa, like out of the blue. And we're like, we don't actually run a kombucha company. That's not what we do. And it took a while for him to actually accept that. Like you can see, he was just very defensive. He's like,
we're offering to help promote him with Instagram stories. Like, hey, could we tag you? We're going to promote you.
Can we do a quick story in here? It's like, you're going to steal my recipe. We're like, no. And we calm him down. We're like, hey man, that's not what we do. Public speaking. We have a lot of knowledge in terms of social media, marketing. And we start, offering him some advice. Like, hey, would you like to know how to, can we help promote this? Can we help answer some questions? Social media. He's like, oh, I've heard about this. It's, I guess I've accepted it's the future. Yeah. Do you want some advice? He's like, no, there's this other company, Soma Kombucha, man. And they came and I knew the owner, the founder, and he stole my recipe, stole my ideas. And he just starts complaining about that. I'm like, okay, cool. But what about the marketing? No, man, Soma. And I remember you started like, you could do this, and you see it just doesn't land. Like he just doesn't see the value there in terms of, promoting his kombucha. And then he just starts going down. He's like, a lot of people lent me this money. And it got really tragic. It's like, all this money over all these years, and now it's time to pay him back. And I'm in so much debt. No, he's like so much debt. And he starts like fidgeting. Like you said, you said his hands were like, he was like, so much debt,
well, and
so much debt.
Were you doing this?
So much debt. Is that what it looked like?
Yeah. And then, in front of my eye. And then in the corner of your eye.
It slowly started moving down. Like, I'm so much debt. So much debt.
So, but the key
is debt, like karmic debt.
The karmic debt. That's true. But that's the idea is like, whenever he lights up to talk about how Soma potentially took his recipe. But then whenever we talk about anything that could help him, could help him to advance the business, it's like, these are not the droids you're looking for. Oh my God. So this is the first thing we want you to consider. If karma was real, if it was real, and somebody is paying back a karmic debt and needs to experience pain, you'll notice just one of the ways to think of that could be true is that whenever you talk about anything negative, they just want to go on and on and on about these negative things. But as soon as you talk about anything that could fix it, they just glaze over because that thing would alleviate the pain and they can't resonate with that. And the other one for me that I've seen over the years, I'd love you to share with this, and I think any of your female followers could really, really, really benefit from this. This is one of the things I think helps women more than anything is talking about this, is the fact that many girls, when presented with a guy, even a alpha guy, even a good-looking alpha guy, but who you can just tell would be a nice person who would really enrich their life, treat them like a queen, just, I love you, baby. Here's flowers. Can I help you? Can I support you? Can I be a father? What can we do, right? And it's just, again, just like the marketing advice, it's like, like that, like, but then as soon as a guy appears like, say, an abandoner or somebody who would just provoke, who would stimulate the trauma energy, it's like a moth to a flame. Yeah. And this is a very powerful idea that I've shared with female friends of mine. And whenever I share it, they're like, yes! How do I fix this? These wonderful men, some of them are hot, they're incredible, these wonderful guys, and I feel nothing. I feel nothing. And then, and I've even seen like one of my friends, one of my good female friends, right? She will literally shut down these great guys. And then she's sitting there with this guy that she likes to date, who literally will roll out to the club with 5 submissive girlfriends. I'm not even kidding. He has subs. He'll roll with a crew of 5 of them that call him daddy, and she'll be like, can you be my boyfriend? And he looks at her, and this guy's not, he's less attractive than the other guy she's dating, and he just looks at her and he goes, no. He goes, no. And you just see her like, ah, ah. Meanwhile, guys that are taller, better looking, more successful, more alpha, cooler than this guy. He's a nice guy. I'm friends with him. What's up, bro? Sorry. But like, he's a good dude. But like, can only resonate with the guy that will make her feel crappy, right? And you've seen this, in your past.
Well, yeah, I'd see it. When I first started going out, it's like, hey, I'm Julian. How's it going? And it was like, nice to meet you. Cool.
Yeah, that's a great face.
It's like, but then, I'd experiment around. I'm like, well, that's not working. What if I try something else? And then the first time I ever did was like out of the blue, like, try it. I'm like, meh. Like that, just like a shoe, like a playful meh shoe.
Yes.
And then immediately saw like, the eyes light up, boom, and I was like, that's kind of weird. And it's not just women, it's men too.
Sure.
There's a few clients I have right now in Skype coaching. It's the same thing. It's like, why do I keep getting drawn to these girls who cheat on me, girls who leave me, girls who, are just not there, girls who are hooked on massive drama. And, we dove into it, and I would even paint out like, well, what if this girl you're seeing right now, say there was a guarantee she wouldn't cheat on you. Say she's there for you, there's no more drama, she just loves you. And he's like, I feel disgusted. And that's the thing. It's like, part of you, it's like, I really want a stable relationship. Say I want this stable guy, I want this stable girl. But if you were presented with that opportunity, you would freak out. Like, you just can't resonate with it. It's like, this is weird. It's not meant to be. Like, I don't feel that same magnetic draw to it. And yeah, if we entertain that idea of karma, it could just be that you're not ready yet for that. You need to pay off your debt and go through more experiences of, say, abandonment, more experiences of drama until you're finally like, I can let go of this. I'm done here. Or perhaps you dive into some of the past trauma that's causing that and let go of it, and then you can finally let success land. And I remember even, in myself, like my example was before the scandal. Like, you'd come up to me, and you were always like really into health, and I was too, but to a way lesser degree.
To be fair, though, now you're lean, and I'm like,
he was always into health.
The tables have turned, but okay.
No, but it's true. Like, like you, when we first met, like I was drinking fucking Four Loko, the real Four Loko, before they tamed it.
He's like reminiscing.
The real thing.
No, we're a dying breed who like the real Four Loko.
You had it too.
Yeah, for sure.
Dude, that Four Loko was, I don't know
it's
what.
Called state in a can.
You would drink that, and immediately it was so intense, I was like, get it out of me, and then I was gone. And you would come up like, baby, try a green juice.
I know.
And I'm like, Four Loko, green juice? And part of me knew, like, look, you got to get on top of your health. Green juice is the right thing. But it was like this guilty pleasure, like this pull towards the Four Loko. Like, I'm not done yet. You know, like I still.
And smoking cigarettes too.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Like smoking cigarettes, Four Loko, drinking. I was like, and I felt it. Like, I know I should probably quit this, but I'm not done yet.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was weird. Like, I'd even go through little patches like, okay, I'm done now. But I still felt that pull. Like, for me, being done required constant, like, willpower. Like, I'm done. And there was always that pull back to that kind of lifestyle. And then at some point, it was like, you just kind of, you just don't connect with it anymore. You're just like, yeah. You know,
done.
the more you really, like, also work on yourself, it's just like, well, okay. Like, I don't need willpower now to be like, don't drink the Four
You don't
Loko.
resonate with it anymore.
Yeah.
You're just like, ugh.
The same with different people. It's like, you know, say that poor kombucha guy, he's like bitching his friends like, fucking Soma. At some point, he'll just stop resonating with that. It's like, he'll hang out with his friends like, hey, so what about Soma? Say, assuming he's moving up. He'll be like, oh yeah, I guess so. Anyway, like something else will just...
If there was karma,
there'll
though,
be that light in his
he's
eyes.
not finishing it in this lifetime. That's
Yeah.
clear. I mean, that's a limiting belief. That's horrible, but you know my point. And I would say too that that thing that you talked about actually would say the cigarettes and the alcohol, right? It's very funny because in mainstream thinking, oftentimes cigarettes or alcohol is viewed as very fun, right? It's in rap music and stuff. So it's kind of like the party thing, right? And not doing that stuff is viewed as kind of not fun, kind of uptight or conservative. My viewpoint on drugs and alcohol, at least in excessive use, was always that actually that's kind of what everybody does, and that I was the rebel for not doing it. I felt like I was the rebel for kind of like being conservative these days, almost more rebel than being a liberal to some. By way of looking at it, that's dicey, but you know my point. So it's like I feel that like for me, I would see this growing up. Now I remember growing up in a fairly low vibration environment. I'm very very grateful for the environment I grew up in. I'm very grateful to my parents for giving me life, and I really just love that. But at the same time, I certainly was exposed to some things, seen some shit, right? Ugh, can you hear my voice out? Like that, like a lot of shit. So basically, I remember being in these environments where back in the day, people would smoke in the bar. I don't know if you remember this, Luke. I don't know if you remember this, right? And you kind of just see people just sitting there kind of nursing their beer and smoking their cigarettes. And it's this kind of just like, and it's like the life is being sucked out of them. And they're kind of going about this. It's like this petty sort of low... what would you? It's like this
muck.
It's this treat. It's like this compensation, like this. What's the prize called? The secondary prize, the consolation prize. Like you don't get to go like hiking in the Nepali coast. You're gonna sit here in this bar, kind of puffing down cigarettes, drinking, and just being like, ugh, and like complaining.
Well, the worst part of it, because I remember, is like you feel worse after doing it. Like there's not a single time. When I'd say I'd smoke, I'd be like, yeah, I feel great now. It's always like you feel worse, but then that's what makes you, well, let me have another one. Feel worse, and another one is just like this spiral.
Or does it maybe give you a kind of a temporary relief? It sort of like medicates this kind of, I'd like to hear your take on this in a second.
You get like a hit, but it's all mental. It's really mental. Yeah, you're like...
At a certain point, you just come up to sober. And so it's not even like you get the high off of it, right?
Yeah.
Off of the negativity. You just feel shitty and then you come up to neutral.
Got it.
Yep. Yeah, you're just in this constant, and it's like, and then back.
You know what really surprised me? I was very surprised by when I first drank how strong it was. I'm like, this is actual gasoline. This is not good. And I remember like, I've never even smoked a cigarette, but I remember just like being near it and being like, whoa, that is not good. And I've made out with girls that are smoking a cigarette, and like a lot of time it can be totally fine, but sometimes it's almost like you're like, you go to kiss. I remember this one stunning girl, and I was trying to impress somebody, so I was trying to show that I could make out this girl, and I kissed her. She's a very beautiful girl, and it was like, oh, I remember I was like, oh, and then I was like, no, gotta keep impressing my. I mean, how stupid, right?
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, and I went in again. And I went in again. And I was like, oh, and I don't know what the hell she was doing. I mean, was it chewing tar? I don't know what the hell she did. But it's amazing, like these like really strong substances, or even things like Coke and Molly. Like, I mean, like my understanding is that these are very, very hard hitting, right? Like it's not just like a bit of like, smoke some weed or like have like some wine. This is like, bam! Like this is like really like boom. I mean, I'm speaking clearly outside of my
Yeah, I've never
expertise
tried
here,
those.
so I don't know, who knows, right? But I've just noticed like a lot of these things are very rough, and it's like when people are saying like in that, let's say they were burning off bad karma, it's like they're ingesting these like hard hitting like gasoline and tar, and then they're like they're taking these drugs to just deplete brain chemistry, deplete dopamine, and then they eat these foods where it's like these fast food just covered in oils and then like soy and corn, and it's like I eat some of those foods now if I'm like really stuck and I just wake up, I'm like, oh my god, is this shit legal? Is this even legal to consume this? And then they sit there and like the dad is like beating the mom, and a lot of like domestic violence, like this huge thing, this huge problem in society. And then you see like, you know, the dad's hitting the kid. Like a lot of kids get like still spanked. I don't spank my kids. We just do fun stuff. If he has a problem, I just sit him down. I'm like, how awesome are we? Let's just be awesome. He's like, okay. And they're like, the problem's solved. but like for some reason, like the parents like spanking their kids and yelling at each other. A lot of families, they hate each other. They're in major problems. It's like, what's going on? And how is this even normal? And then you try to fix it. You show them anything that could fix it, and they glaze over. And any solution that you could offer, glaze over. But if it's something that could put them in more pain, so they could feel more pain, it's like, ooh, yeah, let's do some crap talking and gossiping and complaining. Like, let's go down that mental, that path. But like anything that's like you tell a joke, can't laugh at it. Talk about stuff to fix it, nope. And it's almost, they can't resonate with it. Show them a good partner, unable to see it. Could it be karma? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, well, just karma too. It's like you can look at it in terms of, you know, like super zoomed out. Like maybe it's a past life, you know, just entertaining that idea. And now you're here and you're still paying off that debt. But even due to things you experienced when you were younger, you know, like say you do something fucked up, you know, that you didn't even know was fucked up, but you know now, and you're like, oh shit, why did I do that? Why didn't I do that? And you carry a lot of guilt around it. Then there's a part of you that's like, you need to pay for what you did, and you're going to keep punishing yourself. Like, you know, you're going to make a mistake. You're like, this is not the right thing to do, but you just can't help it in order to perhaps punish yourself for something you did or didn't do. Another way of viewing it is you could say, look at a traumatic experience and just entertain this. Like, say you experience something traumatic. People think that, you know, you experience it and then it keeps coming back, when in reality, you could view it like you didn't experience it. Because when you went through that traumatic thing, you know, you just kind of dissociated from the experience. It's like, well, that's not me, that didn't have, it was too much to handle. And there's a lot of spiritual views where it's like the events that keep coming that kind of remind you or that replay that trauma, in a way it's like the world bringing you back to actually experiencing it, because that's how you let go of it. And then the more you resist it, the more it's going to keep coming in like bigger and bigger waves. And in a way, like that's the way you let go of it. It's like until you experience it, like it's going to keep coming back. Yeah, it's just really, you know, wacky to fucking think about. But it's true. It's like, if you look at your life now, it's like, what do you keep being pulled back to? And what debt are you paying off?
I see it for sure in the patterns of my own life. There's
Yeah.
something that I resist, something bad that happens. I resist it until it hits so hard that there's just nothing left, and then it just seems to dissolve it. I've had this with like, a big one is caring what people think. I used to like care what people think a lot, and then I think, you know, with certain public things that happen, and I could keep kind of falling back. Like, so, I mean, take the book The Game that came out, and then that was like so like, it just burned me, right? Because it was like this whole book just kind of like, where I just looked like super crazy in the back end. And then I'm like, well, you know, whatever, like, it's, you know, people in our community saw this, but, you know, the mainstream isn't aware of it. Then like Julian Gate, you know, and then I'm like, well, at least our main fans have our back. And then we've had incidents where, like, you know, our main fans were given misimpressions by people, and I just don't feel to correct it. And for me, like, part of why I don't correct some of those misimpressions that other people like kind of frame us as is I'm like, no, give it to me. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna make great content. Whatever energy I feel in this, put in the freaking content. Give it to me. I don't care. You know what? I know who I am. I know what I'm doing. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Think what the fuck you want. I'm gonna be out here sitting in fucking Seattle, making the fucking video, getting pissed on fucking rain. We're doing this shit. Think what the fuck you want of it. And like I've had to go. It's like it just keeps coming back until I just don't give a fuck. I just don't fucking care. I've been fucking beaten with this shit. Lost the approval. Hit, and you know what? Whatever. I mean, I probably still care a little bit, but I'm almost there. Like, I'm just at the point where it's like, fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm 38. Let's just go have some fucking fun for the next 30 years. It is what it is. Let's go. But I've seen this with a number of different things like betrayal, or things like being a victim and whatnot, where it just like it hits me, and I block it, dodge it, and rationalize it, make ego to sort of form around it until it just smashes. And when I've just been through the most amount of pain that I can go through that, and then it just stops happening. I don't care about it. I don't resonate with it. I thought a great example, Jay-Z in the Blueprint 3, he had a track called I'm Already Gone. And he had beef with these different rappers. And he's like, why are you even singing about this? I'm gone. I'm hanging out with Obama. My wife is Beyonce. I pay more in taxes than you in like 5 years. You're crazy. I'm gone. I'm not your rival. I'm gone. I'm in a different level now. And even though that he's kind of being braggadocious, it's kind of like rapper talk, whatever. I love Jay, but it's rapper talk. But it's like another way of looking at it is he's paid that debt. He's not in that energetic karma loop where guys bitch about each other and attack each other and complain about each other. He's gone to a different level where that stuff is like water off a duck's back. He's just making his mills. He's probably like in like billionaire range, living his life and trying to make the most out of it. Feels very gifted. And you've even seen him now in a lot of his interviews. Some of it can be like a little bit kind of PC-ish, but you can see that he's moving into another, like in Spiral Dynamics, they would call that, like he moved from the orange to the green. He's moving from orange to green. The next step for Jay, I'd like to see him move to yellow. Look up Spiral Dynamics, is great. But the main idea being like, if you look at the average person on the street, there's a hollowness in the eyes. There's a sadness to them. There's like, where's that childlike joy? Where's the expression, the spontaneity, the fun, the laughter, the joy for life? That like if you actually believe, for example, that there is no life after death, and say that you live around, say, 80 years, well, then why aren't you enjoying? This is a very limited time.
Oh, yeah. Well, a lot of people say it's like, the happiest I've been was when I was a kid. It's like, well, what the fuck are you doing with your life? Like, that's 30 years ago. It's like, if that was your happiest moment, what the fuck, One thing I'll say too, by the way, it's like in terms of paying that debt. I think I've told you the story before. At one of the parties we threw at the first mansion we were living in, there was a party, and they invited this fortune teller. And this is, shortly after the scandal. And, I went and was like, fuck it, let's go see what she does. Like, and it's like, it might be, her cold read, let's see. And I sit down and she takes my hand and she's like, you've had enough. And I'm like, enough? She's like, yes, it's over now. You've had enough. Realize it. You've had enough. And I'm like, she's right. Now, total cold read. But it's true. I reflect. I'm like, yeah, I moved away from, say, the Four Locos, cigarettes, et cetera, but I was still self-destructive in a lot of various more subtle ways. And at that point, I'm like, you're right. Like, after that fucking scandal explosion, I'm like, I have had enough. And that's what it's kind of like, the debt's been paid. And it's funny you say, even with Jay-Z, like how he has a certain different vibe now. That's when I also started getting a lot of comments from even close friends saying that the vibe was very different. Not in a bad way, but it was more like just a lot lighter. Like you said,
yeah,
it's like
finish
just like
with that.
Versus hey, like always tense. It was more still powerful, but there was more of that openness to it.
So powerful, bro.
And that's the fortune teller. It all just you've had enough.
Yeah, I mean, we would ask you that. Have you had enough? Does that resonate with, like, when we say, like, have you had enough? Unfortunately, some guys in like negativity are like, I've had enough, like that. But there's like another way of feeling like you've had enough, which is very powerful. You want to hop in on this, by the way? I know you have a couple thoughts on this.
You said something that was particularly poignant to me, which was when you're doing the Four Loko or you're doing any of the negative behavior, you think that, all right, well, I'll just do this, and then once it's done, it's done. But instead, what ends up happening is for every negative thing you do, that you're really paying back that karmic debt, whichever phrasing you want to put on it, that's essentially what's happening. When are you going to decide that enough is enough? Are you going to actually have to go to rock bottom and scrape the bottom and see what it feels like? Or are you just going to give yourself the permission to say, today's the day. You've had enough, and now you can move forward like the fortune teller gave you that permission and really paved the way for you to have enough.
I think this is something that's said in like AA, like with Evie. It was like, you told me this.
It's a powerful point, man.
With Evie, it's like
in AA, that the person has to go to rock bottom. That's a hell of a point.
Yeah, it's like, what can we do for our friend? He used to, drink like crazy back then. And the sponsor was like, just hope and pray that he hits rock bottom sooner than later. Like the sooner he hits rock bottom, where it's like enough is enough, now you have something to work with because there's that willingness. Like right now, is there the willingness for you to have this amazing life, for you to change, for you to achieve success in all these different areas, or not? You know, and yeah, rock bottom, and that's like another video we should make too, where it's like those horrible like life crisis moments where it's like, oh, rock bottom creates the opening for something else. Like in a way, that's like the final part of you paying that karmic debt.
Yeah, but that's a super crazy point you just brought up. I'm surprised we didn't even think about that earlier when we were talking about making this video. Like the fact that rock bottom is a major theme in AA or addiction counseling, and the fact that they'll consistently see that the more that you try to stop that person from hitting rock bottom, you're literally slowing down the process of them going down so that they can move back up. I mean, that's a crazy. Imagine you have a child, right? Your son or daughter is on drugs or drinking or doing something self-destructive, and you care about them so much, and knowing that there's nothing you can do, or I mean, that's probably a bit of an extreme statement, but like that it's possible that the best option is actually to let them hit complete rock bottom, that there's nothing that you can, that it's possible that there's nothing you can do. I mean,
and to hope that the bottom doesn't fall out underneath them.
The way I personally view it is present them with the resources needed. Like, hey, here's this, here's that. You can try to steer them in that direction, but there's that saying, like, you can, you can bring a horse to water, you can't make it drink. Like, bring as many horses to fucking water as possible, but there has to be that point where they're willing to drink. And it's crazy how the correlation between that rock bottom and the willingness to fucking drink. It's true. It's like, I'm falling, like, just let me get there as fast as possible. I want this to be over. And you're like, no, come on. It's like, I gotta finish this.
I mean, do we have one fucking success story where we try to intervene and they stop? There's a complete difference between people who pay money, frankly, to come to a program like Transformation Mastery and want help and are wide open, versus somebody who you're like going to them and trying to help them to stop the pattern. They don't want to hear it. They'll indulge you. They view it like they're doing you a fucking favor.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Just think about your friends here.
This and we can't even fix it.
Well, you can relate too. You go up to your friends, hey, check this out. Like, check this video out. It'll help. Nope. Like, how many of your friends would be down to watch this video here if you just sent it? Like, share, send to my friend. Check it out. Karmic debt.
Oh yeah, laughing at it profusely.
Yeah, they'll be like, ugh. And even if they do watch it, it's because you'll force them to, and they're like, I'm doing it for you, bro, gal, ugh. And just like, fuck this.
Probably every single person that I can think of, including myself, has had to pay this debt. It's just a matter of where are they paying that debt and how does it get exuded and deployed from them. The one example that you were mentioning that I can think of, it's actually his closest friend. He paid this debt aggressively because he would always be building these, a friend of mine, a guy that I knew, would be building these businesses where he'd have these patents, and he would build a patent for a type of business, for a type of technology. And it was always patents for things that were a little bit low vibrational energy in themselves. There's always kind of concerned me. I didn't really know why. It's a win-lose. He would make these patents for example, the electronic cigar. He had the patent for, which on one hand is immensely profitable. He made lots and lots of money from this. He's a really smart guy. He became one of my closest friends, but there was always this tinge of is it worth it? He's making this electronic cigar type of thing that's really just, at the end of the day, kind of hurting people. It's totally legal, and there's a lot of benefits to it business-wise for him, but it's, at the end of the day, it's a little bit, he's kind of priming the karmic debt that he actually needs to pay later with all the success that he's having. So on one hand, he's celebrating his successes. On the other, he fell into substance abuse. He became addicted to cocaine. He became an alcoholic, and he would use those things, those devices really, as a medium for celebrating his karmic debt being primed. So what ended up happening is he ends up doing all these negative things. This is a karmic debt in his existing life, not necessarily in a past life, if you will. And he ended up overdosing on cocaine the same day that his company sold for what would have been sold for millions and millions of dollars. A good friend of ours ended up seeing him foaming from the mouth this is one of my closest friends, foaming from the mouth when he opened the door and didn't hear from him for a couple days. He's laying there, his body kind of gets larger when you pass, and he would just see this man who used to be happy all the time. I don't know if it's necessarily because of the business that he was in or what it was, but he clearly had a lot of negativity inside of him, just brewing inside of him. We all thought he was happy and positive, but deep down, he clearly had a lot of negativity that the thing about the karmic debt is, even if you don't necessarily believe in it on this macro, higher kind of metaphysical level, what you have to understand is that it's this guilt almost that's taking over you. It's this guilt that causes you, that you have to get it out one way or another. You have to get it out of you. Otherwise, you're going to just feel this weight that's over you. You're not going to feel even light on your feet. The gentleman that I'm talking about, the mutual friend that we have, then ended up almost like he took on the karmic debt of our mutual friend. He then fell into substance abuse. He lost his business. He then ended up going on this negative path where it just kind of went. We were on one day, we were happy-go-lucky. We were all having fun. We were having champagne. We were having a huge party with lots and lots of girls. He had one of the sickest penthouses in all of Vegas. I'd stay over there many, many times. And then all of a sudden, everyone around him just disintegrated. Everyone just literally started falling apart, as if everybody kind of took a little bit of the karmic debt with them to keep paying basically to cash the check that this guy wrote, essentially. And our mutual friend is to this day on this self-destructive path of doing substances, of drinking. He's lost his business. He's now being sued for lots of money. He lost most of his friends. He used to be in great physical shape, and then he lost that. It's like he felt this guilt of literally just being a part of our mutual friend's karmic debt that unfortunately he paid the ultimate price for it.
What do you think he tells himself, like, as far as like his life now? Because he always feels like he's a winner, right? You think he still feels like he's a winner and lies to himself and is just doing coke, or like what's his? Where do you think he's at mentally?
He's definitely at the outward. He carries this outward appearance as if he's a winner because he lives through his ego. His ego literally is almost 2 feet in front of him, and the ego is kind of pulling him down the racetrack of life because he always is trying to catch up to this ego. It's not even that he necessarily thinks about his ego that much, but he's literally living up to, on like a scale of zero to ego, he's like a 7, right? On any point of time, a 10 out of 10 for him would be living up to the ego that he's trying to portray and really trying to live up to. It's kind of like living in the past because he thought the past was so good. Now what ends up happening is he's trying to drink to get to that level. He's trying to lie and cheat people to get to that level. And unfortunately, even though it almost feels like by doing all these negative things, he's letting go of that karmic debt, he's really just kind of priming the karmic debt he's just adding to it rather than actually releasing it.
No matter what you do, you can't, cheat karma either. And I've seen this time and time again where you think someone's getting away with it, like, oh man, they got away with it, but it'll bite them in the ass one way or another. And if it's not externally, it'll be internally. You'll see someone who made, for example, a lot of money, perhaps doing some sketchy things or fucking over people, and internally they're just a wreck behind the scene. Like, you'll have to pay that debt one way or another.
Yeah, the joke of it too is they're doing like drugs and alcohol and doing viceful things to cover it. The whole thing's like this crazy cycle, and it is just literally spinning their wheels in the mud.
What's a crazy pattern to see too? It's like every single person you think, oh, they got away with it, they didn't. You cannot get away with it.
So this video being a little bit off the wall, I want to actually end with probably the most off the wall part of the video. Okay, we're gonna get a little off the wall here. And by the way, sometimes when I say these things, people that are really into spiritual growth, they're like, don't call it off the wall, just tell the truth, this is what you believe. These are things that I like to think about, ideas I like to entertain. I do not profess to have a direct contact with some divine spirit that's like, here's how it fucking works. Tell the YouTube people what's happening. Okay,
Give us the truth.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that's what they.
You might not be connected to the universe. I am. I've spoken to the universe.
That's true.
That's true. She.
Oh yeah, right. Okay, we're in Seattle. We'll go that. So the main point being, like, these are just things I like to think about. I just enjoy thinking about this stuff. And a lot of time, a model can work. Like, whether or not the model's accurate or not, it can still work. And for me, the model works whether it's accurate or not. It's a way of thinking about it. Oftentimes, people we learn things through story. So a story about, say, karma can resonate more and make more sense to us than like going into like emotional addiction, psychological aspects that were formed at a younger age, the exact traumas, the blueprints laid out by parents, the societal issues of where they come from and so on and so forth. And I love stuff like that too. I really enjoy reading about that stuff too. So I enjoy reading the kind of story side of it, and I enjoy reading the little bit more precise side of it. But As far as the story side of it, this is something that really resonates with me as kind of a working, whether it's true or not. So in spiritual growth, they'll say that it's like we all come from, say, the one consciousness. And it's like we're traveling through different dimensions, moving away from that one consciousness. Some people call the one consciousness God. Some people call it the one. In spiritual growth, they would call that, say, non-duality. So there's a part of you where you recognize that you're one with everybody else, that same life force that animates you, animates others. There's other ways that we could look at it. We go in a lot of detail in this, fun stuff actually. But the way that I think about it is that as we move away into separation, as opposed to being all one, what happens is that we do things that tend to be what you call selfish. Now, I love Ayn Rand. You read Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged? Okay, so they talk about the virtue of being selfish. Really good stuff too. That's what's cool. You can kind of have conflicting models. So it's important to look out for yourself, to nourish yourself, to do what's in your interests. But studies of things like, say, Kabbalah will talk about how in order to receive, we have to give to prepare the vessel to receive. And what that means to me is it's like that karma thing, right? It's like you have, like, by giving, you burn off karma, and then suddenly you can see that really cool suggestion. You can see that cool suggestion. So, you know, an example there was, I remember back in the day, I sent you an email about making our videos better, making better video quality. And you're like, oh, and it's great that we're putting all this work into video quality. Why aren't we focused on reaching more people, right? You see a lot of our videos are incredible quality, but they don't reach a ton of people. Well, why is that? Part of that is because our content doesn't resonate with the masses. It's not like a squirrel on a skateboard smoking a joint, although to be fair, I'd watch that. But for sure. But, you know, it's a little bit more niche, obviously. But another part is, yeah, there has been, you know, to an extent, we have not oftentimes just focused on spreading our message as much as we could. Probably people think we do, but we really need to do better. I remember you said that to me, and it just didn't sink in. Just like you with me saying green juice, meditate, and you're like,
maybe Four Loko, it's not good for you.
Yeah. Like that, right?
Yeah.
And for me, that was the thing with, say, reach. So there's a lot of areas in my own life that are not as obvious. Even if I would appear to be doing well, it's not as obvious that I need to be doing better. I'm missing these suggestions. So in some spiritual practices, they'll say that you have to give to prepare the vessel to receive. And what that means to me is that by giving, you're burning off that bad karma, moving into another level of energy. You can read books, David R. Hawking's Power versus Force, Levels of Energy by Frederick Dawson, great books, kind of half hokey and half awesome. So you got to kind of have a good filter to read them. You can't be a gullible person to read them, or you got to be able to filter these books. But if you can, exercise some common sense, critical thinking.
You say not every word is true.
Yes, not every word in the Levels of Energy is true. I mean, I would assume, and I don't think they, as the authors, would want us to feel that way. But, well, who knows what they want? Maybe they do.
Every damn word is true.
Every word. But you know, we'll go with that. So the idea being that as you give, you burn off that negative karma, just in theory, and then you increase your level of energy. And now a suggestion like maybe increase your reach. Maybe don't drink fucking Four Loko, drink our green juice. Maybe that begins to resonate. And the biggest area that you'll see this is on forums that we create where people are complaining, and anytime you show them a proactive solution, they're like, can't be true. I remember like back in the day, for example, we would write articles about dating advice, and some people wouldn't believe it. And I thought to myself, if I could just get a video of it, they would all see it. And once they saw it, they were going to get it. And they were all going to start doing it and get our message of hope and change. Right? And it's the videos that have the most proof, that show a better reality, that even if you're short or funny looking or not this perfect chiseled guy, that you could meet people. And these videos that could in theory inspire hope and change, literally many people, I would challenge you, look up some of Julian's dating advice videos showing him doing amazing things, or mine or Luke's or anybody's on YouTube that show inspirational things. Show it to friends of yours that are not able to let it land like that. But meanwhile, they'll complain about how that, you know, they can't get this one girl, and the scarcity of not being able to meet that one girl. If a girl can't meet that one guy, or whatever, if they're living in this victim world and they don't want out. You show them solutions, don't want to hear it. No different than if you were to go to, say, a homeless person and you say, here's a solution, don't want to hear it. So where does that come from? In theory and spiritual growth, I've been kind of working around this problem here. I'm coming back to it here. Rein it in. Here's the one. You're moving away from it, maybe through different dimensions or whatever it is, right? Energy levels on Earth or different dimensions. Who knows? This is a what if video. We're just guessing. You're moving away from it, right? And as you're moving into selfishness, you go into pain, scarcity, victim, density, heaviness. The selfishness it gets to the point of such lack and victim consciousness. It's like a hell while alive. You're in hell while alive, in pain and suffering. And don't underestimate this. Look, this is kind of like a fun kind of philosophical video, or I don't know, more like a video like if you took magic mushrooms. But the point being, like, there's a lot of pain out there. Walk down the street, see it. People are just, they're all drink. A lot of people are drinking. How hard is it to even find an attractive partner who doesn't drink or get messed up? How hard is it to find people to work with that aren't a train wreck? And more importantly, like in entrepreneurship, they'll say avoid B players, avoid C players. Taken from an angle of karma, a B or C player or D or E player are people that are experiencing karma that if you bring them into your organization are going to pull you down into their karmic sphere, and you're going to go to hell right along with them. And so what happens then is that as you do, and so this is why when we do things that are too selfish, what happens is we go further away from God or the one, right? We're moving away. And then when we do things that are positive, what is the underlying framework of that? That we're all one. And then now we're moving back towards the source. What happens in abundance, in sharing, in helping? Suddenly the brightness comes back in the eyes. The energy comes to you. You call upon some almost, you know, when you're doing this kind of thing, and try it. Don't take it from us. Try this. You feel like you're almost like an energy is moving through you that's letting you do things that you couldn't do. And as crazy as that sounds, just watch a basketball game. A lot of teams that play with a great joy, their passes just move, the ball movement. You know, Steph Curry's hitting threes from half court in his sleep, just like that. It's like the basket is huge. It's like hitting the side of a barnyard. And you'll see the team that's in this like kind of different type of energy. Now, basketball is the craziest example because on one level, you want to play with what's called a sense of urgency. If you're not playing with a sense of urgency, you don't want it enough, you're too complacent. Well, in spiritual growth, we say that the lowest level of energy is apathy, and the highest is enlightenment. They look kind of the same. Enlightenment looks a bit like apathy, but it is literally the opposite. Apathy is where it's like below depression, self-hate, victim, anger, all that is just apathy. Where maybe somebody who's a homeless person, their eyes don't even track. They're so apathetic, their eyes don't even track. And that's completely different from somebody who's brimming with high vibration energy, sharing expansive energy, as opposed to closed, dense, contracted energy. Everybody's out to get you. Like we talk about this a lot, competitive versus collaborative frame. Competitive frame against people instead of collaborative. And what's so difficult to understand for people in the lower frame, this is so crazy, is that the problems of the lower paradigm simply melt away or dissolve in the higher paradigm. So take competitive versus collaborative. A guy thinks he's against everybody. So maybe he goes into a bar or club, he's talking to people and he's got to prove himself. And it's just all weird and dense, like a little battle. But if you just view everybody in that venue as your friend, people are nice to you, you don't need to pass the test. Somebody throws some weird negative stuff at you, you're just laughing with it, and then all of a sudden they view you as a friend. A lot of these problems solve automatically. The problems of one paradigm dissolve at another paradigm. And as you increase paradigms, it's called integrated transcend. So you still remember the solutions of the old paradigm. They're integrated, but you also transcend them at the same time. It's like Russian dolls.
Well, so just think about the guy today, by the way, with the kombucha. His paradigm, the problem was they stole it. If he moved up and say, took marketing tips and actually applied it to social media, it wouldn't fucking matter.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
So crazy. Look at the paradigm.
Even if they stole it, it wouldn't matter.
They have my recipe. How much do people... It's to the point that most people that teach content in our genre online, most of them are getting a lot of their influences from myself, you, Mystery, David D, all that kind of stuff. And we don't care. We're not on there going, don't do that. Like they're doing the exact same format of like the outdoor video, the infield, like all that stuff. They're stealing. We're going, man. We want to go up there. Take our stuff, share it, do it.
If behind the scenes, like, actually, can you imagine us just sitting here like, man, all these YouTubers, they're stealing our format, they're stealing our coaching, and we're just, it's like, what? No.
You're not advancing. And now, to be fair, in the decade that you and I have known each other, have we maybe said something like that when we're tired? Not one. Right? No, never. For sure, we have our moments, right? And then we have the opposite moments, like, we're just going to change the world. It doesn't even matter what happens. And then you have everything in between, right? And that's part of life. That's why we're growing. You know, that's why we're going through our little journey here. I guess what we're saying, though, is that just consider, as a thought experiment, as a what if there was karma, that as you move away from the source or God or the one, just theoretically, you're moving away and you're going into this selfishness. But then when you've had enough, you've gone to the bottom, now you can begin to move back. So on Earth, in theory, let's just say as a thought experiment, what if we were in sort of a purgatory realm? Think of the ocean. The fish are all eating each other. Animals eating each other. Ocean life. You ever watch like Blue Planet or things like that? The fish are just all killing each other, fighting over food. Then you have Africa, the animals killing each other, human beings in wars and whatnot. Hundreds of millions murdered by other humans. They're smoking cigarettes for loco, shit talking each other, like this fucked up planet, like world wars, all this this crazy stuff, so like this crazy world we live in, right? And it's like, what in the fuck are we doing here? And then meanwhile, it's all a fight for survival, like almost like a nightmare, right? Like you're in this kind of nightmare where things are against you. You have to fight it and deal with the conflicts and things like that, right? We're like in this world. Yeah. And probably, maybe 95% or so people are still moving away from the source here, right? They're kind of moving down. Most people, if you see them as they get older, they tend to be moving down in their vibration. They tend to be moving down. But then maybe like 5% of people are moving up. In entrepreneurship, you'd call that an A player. So if you actually want to use the karma thought experiment, if it was even real, you could say get an A player, but another thing you could say is get somebody who's moving back to the source. But as if that's going to take well in Peter Drucker or Jim Collins, right? Business for spiritual whack jobs.
But you could even view it, by the way, you're talking about the world, on an individual case, but also just in terms of the world itself. There's a lot of people saying nowadays it's like we're at that tipping point where we're all gonna start moving back to the
They
source.
believe that, yeah. I mean, and I mean, look, it's really cool that goji berries are spreading, right? It's really good. Turmeric shots are becoming more mainstream. There's some green juices, but if you still watch television, I rewatched Entourage recently, loved it because everyone's winning. Maybe like a little crisis, Vince isn't gonna get the movie, and then they win. Worst season 7. Vince on drugs, didn't enjoy that. So I enjoyed watching Entourage. I'm like, maybe I'll start watching a little bit of TV
funny,
again.
Dude. That used to be my favorite season 7.
That's horrible, bro. Okay, so
back to karma. That's why I resonate with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, so I'm like, maybe I'll start watching TV again. I try to find something to watch. I can't find anything. It's all just people killing each other, angry, bad shit happening. I'm like, this isn't fun. I'd rather just watch a rerun of Entourage or porn at this point, rather than just and that's why we try to create some positive content, And there's just so much bullshit fucking content. And to be fair, some of my favorite shows like Vikings on the History Channel or Game of Thrones, hyper negative, but I still love the shows. But I don't think I'd like them less if they didn't do the Red Wedding. I'm not I get why he did it. He's trying to add skin in the game and the character deaths and stuff, but it's just deranged. And so much of our food supply, our media consumption, our news, and the way that we treat each other, very low vibration. It reeks to me of a planet just burning down karma. And then you see some people that have just said enough. And to those people who are moving away from the source, they tend to just get worse and worse over time. And any solution you offer, don't want to hear it. It's like you're talking. It's like there's just nothing you can say. And sometimes it's your loved ones. As a coach too, it's really tough because you're used to coaching people. But why is it that when people come to our programs, they're so coachable? Because they've hit a point of rock bottom, usually in that particular area. And they've paid a bit of money too, so now there's even skin in the game, and they're so ready to change. And you're coaching them, and they're so ready and easy to deal with. I think our team too attracts great customers and clients and students. Where people who have come from other companies and seen are like, RSD guys are like, your guys are the best guys. And but meanwhile, you try to help your loved ones or family member. Don't want to hear it. And it's like this wall where energetically it's like they're not letting anything in. They're just, I think this. Well, how about this? No, it's this way. Well, what about it? No, it's like nothing will get, it's this wall and just moving through the trauma. So as we move back, we can say to ourselves, if we want to be somebody who moves back, as you age each year, is there more brightness in the eyes? Even though you're getting older, right? I'm getting older, I would have more wrinkles. Is there more aliveness or brightness or childlike expression there? And can we put that into our selective focus instead of just how much money somebody makes? And the big one is life easy or hard? For some people, life is easy, and for some people, life is so hard, and they get attracted to ways of doing things that are hard. They bring people into their lives that'll make it hard, take on jobs or projects that make it hard, don't want to hear things that could make it easy, don't resonate with solutions or opportunities. They resonate only with scarcity and pain, or at least not only, because I think everybody's a mixed bag, but more so. And And it's like life can be so easy and good and awesome, or it can just be difficult and annoying. And for some people, it's like everything just has to be so hard, right? Like, it's like, well, what about this? What about this? Am I getting this? What about that? How about this? And you're just want to fucking hair out. And it's like, let's just move up. Like, yeah, all that's real. Like, all those, here's the key to it, all of it. All your concerns are real. They're all, oh, so real. And like, I'm not denying it. Like, everything you say is valid. You're right. You're so right. You're right as day, right as night, right as all the wonderfulness in the world that is you are right. You are so awesome and right. And who gives a fuck? Just stop focusing on the shit. Let's go, baby. Yes, there's a piranha nipping at your heel, but there's a mountain of gold over there. If you pull the piranha off, more piranhas will swim in and start biting. And then you'll try to pull those off and more will bite. You're not gonna get the mountain. Let's go, man. Let's go right there. The price of admission is you gotta take a little pain. Let's go, it's okay. Just don't resist it, let's go. But they don't want to take it. It's just gotta be hard and this debate and fight and bullshit when life can be fun and easy. You can move up right now, even as you're watching this. Be a little weird here, just get present to the moment. What could be the gateway? What could be the gateway to moving up? Could it be getting present to the moment? The gateway is out here in the moment. In your body, in the breath. Take a breath. It's not in here where everything's so freaking heavy all the time. And that's why you got to make a decision. If there was karma, do I want to move up or do I want to move down?
So a lot of this may sound a little dark, like, oh man, they're right, fucking karma. Ugh, what if I'm paying off my debt? It just sounds, ugh, and just thinking about the world, like, the world, you're right, the fish, man, they're all fucking eating each other, fuck. But here's the little bright side of it all. The good news is that if you're watching this video and you've watched it up until this point, and if you're taking in this information, you're open to receive, then you're most likely ready. Okay, once more, as I said before, just look around, like how many of your friends, how many people do you know, even walking down the street, would be open to content like this, open to even working on themselves, like just self-help in general. It's like, hey, check this out. They're like, self-help? Fuck that. So you're here. There's that opening, and I'd say for the road, a little tip for the road, anytime, you know, you hit a life crisis, anytime something happens, you're like, oh, it's all fucked, always look for the opening. You know, there's many ways of interpreting it. One is like, my life's ruined, victim, problem, or is this perhaps burning off a little bit of karmic debt? Is there an opening?
Yeah,
is it perhaps the end
your big opening
of that chapter? And now I'm finally ready for the next level, for something new.
Yeah, that bad moment. Notice the opening that happens in the bad moment. Are you gonna go down further into victim, double down? Or is there a big opening to move up? If you're watching content like this, what does that say about you? Maybe you're one of those people that is not, you're looking for stuff. I mean, even if we're not the ones that have it, at least you're looking.
And if you're watching this video and you're like, look at these fucking losers,
Then good
you're
luck.
fucked. Great way to end.
Great way to end.
Either you're moving up
You're either
or you're
coming up.
fucked.
We'll see you either way.
Comment what you thought.
See you at the finish line. Thanks. Peace.